Here we are. We're here to serve and trying to listen to the good advices of the good feedback and advices of the devotees. That's how we go on. So good morning, good evening, and welcome to another show. No, we're not in the theater. We're not in the theater. We're in the real life theater. And the real life theater means that we need to try our best to be devotees. And Diana, maybe Braja Mohini. Maybe.
Dandavat Maharaj, it's Dayavati Didi. Dandavat.
Oh, okay. Dayavati Didi. Hare Krishna. Dandavat. Govinda, Govinda. So, here we are. We're still in our bodies. It's another day. And what can we do? What can we do in this world except to try to hear from our masters, try to understand their mind, and try to fulfill their wishes? So, one subject that devotees have asked me about and comes up here also, came up here, in fact, yesterday evening. We were talking on the Italy Zoom on here, Italy time, Wednesday evening. Then we doing now the Zoom then because more devotees are able to attend. We used to have it on a different day and at a different time. But then in discussion with the devotees, we came up with that they'll follow the evening program. So, I should ask if there are any questions. That's another thing. I should ask any questions first. Jivana did his... Okay, Jivana did his joined us, Dandavat. And first of all, as we are 5 minutes in, I think now we'll also consider we've gathered together, left our shoes at the door, hung up our coats on the coat hangers, and we've come into the temple room, and let's give our obeisances to each other. So first of all, Vanchakalpatarubhyascha, Kripasindubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. And then secondly, Jai Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Srila Gurudev Ki Jai, Jai Srila Bhakti Rakha Kshidha Maharaj Srila Guru Maharaj Ki Jai, and Jai Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, our grand master who really has given us our Krishna consciousness in this age. And Pranesh, we shared a file. BBC, I wonder what's in here. Let us click and see. Oh, yes, we were going to chant these Bhagavad Gita 4 verses. All right. So, as we're getting started, by way of invocation, today we'll say the Guru mantra for our Gurudev. Then, of course, there are specifically for our specific masters, but the Guru mantra, which is Om Agyantimarandasya, and then we already chanted Vanchakalpatarubhyascha. So let us then chant Namo Mahavadanyaya to Mahaprabhu, then Panchatattva Maha Mantra, and Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Then in your chat box, we have 4 verses, the kind of very initial 4 verses that we went through a couple of visits ago, and we said we'll try to read these as a routine matter each time so that we can get, for at least for 2 or 3 or 3 or 4 occasions, we can help to put them in our mind. All right, so let us, with your microphones off, but together we will chant Om Agyantimarandasya. Okay, slowly, together. Om Agyantimarandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Anmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Then to Mahaprabhu, Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Goratvije Namaha. Then Panchatattva Mahamantra, Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Then Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Now we have these 4 verses, just 4 verses to keep us going. The Bhagavad Gita, if we can read these together too. So slowly together. Na tvevahang jatunasang, na tvang neme janadipaha, na chaiva na bhavishyama, sarve vayam ataparam. Dehinosmin yata dehe, kaumarang yauvanang jara, tata dehantara praptir, dhiras tatra namuyati. Mamupetya punarjanma, dukalayam ashashvatam, napnuvanti mahatmanaha, samsiddhim paramangataha. Abrahma bhuvanal loka, puna avati norjuna, mamupetya tu kaunteya, punarjanma na vidyate. Krishna saying to Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita, never was it a time when you, I, or all these kings did not exist. Just as we exist in the present, so have we existed in the past and shall continue to exist in the future. As the living being passes through the bodily changes of childhood, youth, and old age, it similarly attains another body at death. The wise are not deluded by this. The great souls who become my associates in my divine pastimes, having reached me, are never again born into transitory existence, which is the abode of suffering. And the last of the 4 verses, O Arjuna, from the plane of Lord Brahma downwards, all planes or their residents are subject to return. But, O Kaunteya, there is no rebirth after reaching me. Hare Krishna. So this is our mini invocation to start the day in a good way, to start our gathering in a good way. So, yes, so now let me ask then first, any question from any quarter? And I think I heard a Kala Chand voice pop up maybe. Oh, and the Praneshwari hand pop up.
Yes, Maharaj. You have a questions from Philippines, Rupa Vilas Prabhu. He says, as I understand it, Srila Guru Maharaj started giving his initiations, even without a pranam mantra for him. And it manifested only after Srila Gurudev, Srila Govinda Maharaj, composed one for him. And with the permission of Srila Guru Maharaj, he also composed to some of Srila Guru Maharaj's godbrothers, and also for Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. My question is, now that he has already left his manifest pastimes, who is now the fit person to continue doing that? Composing the pranam mantras.
Okay, so who will compose pranam mantras? Well, we know from Srila Prabhupada, we know from Srila Gurudev, like very direct cases, instances of where they both have said about how the disciple will compose the pranam mantra to the Guru. So in the case of Srila Prabhupada, we have heard from Sripad Nyasi Maharaj, that Nyasi Maharaj, he had asked Srila Prabhupada about, what pranam mantra can we use for you? That what is being used now, it is sort of an adaptation of a simple pranam mantra for Srila Saraswati Thakur. And then Srila Prabhupada replied to Nyasi Maharaj, who was Sri Govinda Prabhu at that time, that my disciple will compose the pranam mantra. But it didn't happen. And we see that although there were so many pandits and so many who were around, we can understand that who is qualified to write a Sanskrit pranam mantra, because these pranam mantras are in Sanskrit, and the Sanskrit language and everything, we can know something, but real Sanskrit, when Gurudev himself would take his Sanskrit that he would compose to a particular Pandit, recommended or instructed by Guru Maharaj, to take it to a particular Pandit, like a scholarly Pandit in Navadvip, to make sure that it was correct, because the Sanskrit is not as easy as the cat sits on the table. There are, as we've come to learn, there are lots of intricacies within Sanskrit. Have any of you read recently Mahaprabhu's descriptions of the Atmarama verse, for instance? And so we have to understand that there needs to be some adhikar, both of the spiritual aspect and of the Sanskrit aspect. And so in due course of time, in the case of Srila Prabhupada, then when Nyasi Maharaj explained this to Gurudev, because Gurudev was asking perhaps about, what is the pranam mantra to Srila Prabhupada? What pranam mantra are they saying? Then this discussion came up in some way. And anyway, then Gurudev said, I am his disciple. I will write it. So Gurudev, the fittest person to make such a pranam mantra. And indeed, we know from so many instances that it's Gurudev who knew Srila Prabhupada the best by far of all of the devotee family. And in the case of Gurudev, then Gurudev asked about making a pranam mantra for Acharya Maharaj. And Gurudev said that it will be made by his disciple. So again, very similar, and almost exactly the same statement, that this will come from the disciple section. So we have to understand where we are in the world. We've just had 3 Parshad devotees of Sriman Mahaprabhu here with us. And now we've got a new generation who were coming from the lost world, being recruited from this world upwards. And we also see that amongst the devotees, even though some claim to know Sanskrit or this, that, and the other, what we know, what anybody in our generation knows, compared with what is like revealed from the upper plane, then we have to understand that it's going to take a special person to write an authoritative and correct pranam mantra. And in the world today, we all have eyes to see, and who will be the qualified person to write any particular guru's pranam mantra, that is going to be difficult to say. So, we know that Goswami Maharaj, he's probably the most expert in the Sanskrit and the understandings and well-read, etc., etc. But Goswami Maharaj, he will say, he would agree to say, I am a disciple of such a person in that context, as has been indicated. Every individual prayer would have to go to somebody. But amongst, I'm trying to think that, who would have the Sanskrit capacity. I don't think any of the senior devotees in our mission will put up their hand and say that, though maybe some junior devotees may think that they know that, yes, I know Sanskrit. Yes, I can do. So anyway, it's going to be revealed rather than a forced matter. Because everything we do that's coming from our acharyas, it is not just like writing poetry. In England, they have the poet Wordsworth. So, we knew about Wordsworth, and he made poetry about the daffodils and about springtime and about things like that. And everybody, apparently, those who know about poems and things, is, he's such a wonderful poet. But that is not the substance. The poetry is not the substance of our songs or pranam mantras or things like that. But the substance is what is presented what is inside. So we have to wait and see where that will be revealed. So this came from Rupa Vilas Prabhu in the Philippines. Rupa Vilas is one of the older generation. He's Srila Guru Maharaj's disciple from the Philippines, and a very humble soul. So wait and see, I can only say. Where is the will of the Lord? And don't forget, actually we started just now, when mentioning that we started with the pranam mantra to Sri Guru. And this we've heard from Gurudev, this we've heard from different quarters. This Om Agyana Timirandasya Gyanan Jana Shalakaya Chakshur Anmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. And this mantra is the Guru mantra. So always this can be chanted to our Guru and our Guru section, but specifically it is for our Guru in this way. So this is all part of both etiquette and capacity. The etiquette, if we're going to make a painting of something, then to make the painting, obviously there has to be, the subject that's going to be painted needs to be painted with the right mood. But there must be the capacity of the artist. If you have a non-artist try to paint a portrait of someone, then what kind of portrait will come out? We'll get something like the children. They come and show us a painting. Oh, this is a painting. This is my daddy. This is my mummy. This is Gurudev. And you see like stick arms and stick things. Think, okay, good job. You have a good heart. I need a few more years of practice to get the artwork right, though. So, also everybody's got their relationship with Guru, but the substantial side, and then to make it into the accurate Sanskrit, that's a very responsible job. And then for that to be accepted also. And we've had the great luxury, really it's a spiritual luxury, of Srila Prabhupada, Srila Guru Maharaj, Srila Gurudev, where we see whatever has come from their pens, it's undisputed by the faithful section. Whatever has come from their pens. And so we have been very fortunate to be in that situation. And we read some commentary, composition rather, of Srila Govinda Maharaj the other day. And, it was so wonderful. And we were actually saying, well, this is so wonderful. And this has come from Gurudev's pen. And then, we're just feeling that, it's just so solid. It's just everything is there. But if we have one of, somebody who's a student of Sanskrit and making poetry, then the point is it has to come from somebody of substance and spiritual substance, as well as the capacity to paint, the capacity to do the Sanskrit. So, for now, let everybody be content with Om Gyan Timurandasya, and if it manifests, or if it is the wish that devotees through Goswami Maharaj or through somebody who I'm trying to think, who's got the capacity for the Sanskrit. It is very difficult to consider the Sanskrit and the Siddhanta. That both has to be there. So,
Yogi Maharaj?
I don't know. I don't know. I can only see the heart. I can't even see the heart, but a Mahayogi, he's a devotee. What can I say? But what is his capacity to write in Sanskrit? I don't know. He just translated into poetry form the Prema Dharma Deva Stotram, the other way around, and then some indication coming, and we are happy we're happy to say, well, as Goswami Maharaj, as we're mentioning him, he repeatedly says, and I think he quotes some a literary scholar from the West saying that all translation is interpretation. So we can say, well, there's room for Mahayogi to make his from Sanskrit to English interpretation translation. But the origin, what will be the origin of something original, has to be very, we have to think it has to be very substantial. So in other words,
oh my goodness, it is.
In other words, Rupanuga Prabhu and anybody else listening, we have to wait for that to manifest. And there must be, the point is that there will be brilliant lights along the way, but in the meantime, the current is flowing. So we must understand, the ocean of good guidance and the ocean of authoritative, undisputed, presentations that's come from Guru Maharaj, from Srila Prabhupada, from Srila Gurudev, from Srila Saraswati Thakur, from Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. And so let's think what we do have, and not that at the moment we don't know where we've got a Sanskrit scholar who will be able to, a Sanskrit pure devotee scholar, just add on all the categories, and then we say, from our individual eyes, we may see in different places, but previously we have like the universal acceptance of Saraswati Thakur, and from Saraswati Thakur to our present time. And what is very disturbing, disturbing means it's a reality of life, and those who are experienced from the ISKCON days too, they are telling us so many instances where, when the Western devotee, now I'm talking about Western devotees, we're coming from, basically from nowhere, and we're coming to appreciate what's being given by Veda Vyas, the scriptures, etc. But when the Western devotees become scholars, then it can become very dangerous. And as I mentioned just now, undisputed, Srila Saraswati Thakur, in the Lion Guru, to set straight the Sampradaya. But then throughout the history of Gaudiya Vaishnavism in the Western world, then those who become scholars by their own analysis of Sanskrit, of reading different places, reading here, there, and everywhere, then we see that they may, and certainly, definitely, documented cases where they are starting to have more stress on what they are interpreting in their translation, etc., than what Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur gave, what Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur gave, what Vishwanath Chakravarti gave, our Sampradaya. And so then leaving Srila Saraswati Thakur, which means Guru Maharaj, Gurudev, and Srila Prabhupada, then leaving them, they are going into their own inquiry and study of the scriptures. And this is very unfortunate. So we must be very careful, about all of these things which are beyond our pay grade, if you like, the expression in the world. We must be very careful about these. We have an ocean of original compositions. We have an ocean of instruction and direction and songs, scripture, that's coming from what is undisputed, from the faithful devotees' angle of vision, point of view, from the point of view of our Sampradaya. And let us stick there firmly, and we don't want to, enter into the plane of where somebody's, starting new, and then after a very short time, they're then thinking that they're a scholar, and then this, that, and the other, and then suddenly, giving much faith in devotees, and then devotees sometimes becoming very disturbed when they see such persons go away. Shruta Shrava Prabhu. We all know Vaishnava Maharaj. Oh, well, we don't maybe all know him. I'm sure we've all heard of him, Vaishnava Maharaj. Why? Because he was a very strong personality. He said what he felt. He said from his heart. He was an open book. And when something was wrong, he would say something is wrong. So he's a very strong personality, but very much getting the favor of Srila Prabhupada, Srila Guru Maharaj, and Srila Gurudev. And he said to me one day, this was many years ago in Navadip, and this, I mean, really is a long time ago. He said in ISKCON, and he'd been in ISKCON from like, I don't know what year, but a long time, one of really the old devotees. And now he passed away. But he said, every one of those in ISKCON who became like various, he said practically everyone that became scholarly, they all went through a crisis of faith. And then this reinforces this point about that Guru Maharaj was saying to one of those scholarly devotees, are you ready to accept that gyan, knowledge, learning is poison? And then the devotee hesitating, and then Guru Maharaj saying, not yet. So we must be very careful with all these things. Hare Krishna. And Rupa Vilas Prabhu, we need to just live a simple life and be faithful. Srila Prabhupada's expression, simple living and high thinking. And what we have is wonderful. And we are waiting to see. We want the next generation to be better than us. There's some expression in the world, isn't there? That a teacher wants to be surpassed by his student. Something we've heard like that from the distant past. But this is really our situation. We're very hopeful and waiting to see the bright lights connected to the current. The current is flowing. Yes. That's one question from Praneshri Didi. And somebody's made me see myself instead of others. And Kala Chan Prabhu, did I hear your voice with the question at the beginning?
Yes, Maharaj. Can you hear me still?
I can, yes.
Well, and stop me if you've already covered this topic in previous classes, I might have missed. I was doing some maintenance at the temple here, and I couldn't help but notice the overwhelming amount of Tulasi Devi that's there, as you've noticed. And I was wondering if you could go into any kind of Leela or pastimes with Śrīmatī Tulasi Mahārāṇī. You know, we read in the songbook how Krishna won't accept any offerings without her presence on the boga first. But as far as these things, I don't really, I mean, of course, it just might be me, but I don't really know much else about I don't want to say the backstory, but the Leela with her and with how these, you know, how we chant on the beads of Tulasi Mahārāṇī, but she's very sacred, and nothing else should be used. The wood or the plant shouldn't be used for anything else other than those things.
Okay.
If you go into some detail.
All right. So first of all, Kala Chandru, he's talking with us today from the temple, the Gupta Govardhan temple in it's not in Chiang Mai, it's near Chiang Mai. It's in really the mountains. They're not mountains like the Alps or the Himalayas, but they're sizable mountains. But they're sort of the rolling hills in the north of Thailand. And there, the climate is something like Bengal, but it is drier. In Bengal, if the fan doesn't work, you're kind of, for maybe 8 months of the year, you're dripping sweat. I mean, it's humid and it's hot. And you literally, you're wet. But Thailand, little bit is like that in the monsoon time. So it's similar to Bengal, but generally drier. And their temple, the temple that they've constructed there, Tulasi Devi automatically came there. Nobody planted her around the temple. They had Tulsi in a pot. And so where the Tulasi Manch is, the Tulasi Manch means it's the place where Tulasi is worshipped, like the raised part where Tulasi is worshipped. Where that is, there's a platform, and all around the platform, Tulasi Devi, she just grown and grown and grown. And when we do Tulasi Parikrama there, the Tulasi is in the middle and we're doing Parikrama, but all around us is opulent, healthy, happy Tulasi too. And when I was there, I told the devotees, this is like the most Tulasi place where we worship, like for her worship, it's the most like inside, outside, left, right, behind, in front of Tulasi that I know of in the world where we've been to. And so she's come there automatically. So first of all, that's a kind of a very auspicious sign, and Tulasi is coming automatically. Now, a backstory or like history, I can say Gurudev was directly asked about the manifestation of Tulasi Devi. And Gurudev, he gave like just was it an expression or an answer? I mean, it was a very minimal answer. Basically, because a devotee was saying, oh, we read somewhere that Tulasi is this, somewhere else, a different story. And Gurudev, he didn't answer the question. And in the sense of, he basically said, this is all, in the scripture to build our faith. Tulasi is Tulasi. She's the dearmost of the Lord. So this is how we accept Tulasi. And actually not a lot of the things, probably everything that we are doing, what we accept, it is coming in the recent age from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He's the one that set the standard of how we are seeing things, what we are addressing, how we are addressing, many things. This has been established by Srila Saraswati Thakur. So Srila Saraswati Thakur, as far as the usage of Tulasi and the mala, he's the one who has set the standard that Tulasi, either Tulasi or neem, these both can be used for the mala, the japa mala. And this is his standard. And the kanti mala, Tulasi around the neck. And then about Tulasi, really for us, the main thing to know is that she's most worshipful, and actually the correct word is worshipful, but I think there's a mistake in the English dictionary. The most worshipable, she is most worthy of being worshipped. When I hear the word worshipful, it always means, it feels to me like the other way around, that they are doing the worship, full of worship. Anyhow, she's most worshipable, and that there is a sloka, which I can't say right now, but there is a sloka which says that Tulasi Devi and Giriraj, the Govardhan Shila, then there is no installation necessary. Already Tulasi is there in Tulasi and Krishna is there in Giriraj. So we must also always try to give some protection and care for her, and not a lot of restrictions, but in Navadip, in Chaitanya Saraswati Math, for sure, then the devotees, they do not pick Tulasi or trim her or take off the manjaris, etc. in her maintenance on the days after Ekadashi, on the day after Ekadashi, or if it's Mahadvadashi. But on those days, they don't take their leaves because, and then I was, why not? And then I asked this question, because it is considered that she's been fasting on Ekadashi, and so she is weak. In other words, she doesn't have her full strength, so don't take her leaves, etc. Don't pick on that day. So we collect leaves from before that time, and we can put dry leaves if necessary as on the bhoga, the food offering. So we can always have dry leaves there. So yes, that's also an indication of how Krishna, Vishnu how dear Tulasi is, that they don't accept offerings without a Tulasi leaf on her. And then when she leaves her body, if someone can make beads from her, or fine neck beads. I've seen Dave Dulal, a devotee there in Navadip, who would have his little stall outside our temple, seeing them make the beads. And then you think, after they make the beads and they cost like less than $1, some of the beads, you think, my goodness, so much work, and they're getting $1 for this. And then devotees still bargaining to get less price. Oh dear. But if anybody has the patience to make neck beads or japa beads, then let it be. Otherwise, after she leaves her body, either to put in a large body of water or a holy place. In Navadip, they take to the Ganges. And in earlier times, they did put, if not too much, they would put in Govinda Kund. And if no river or large body of water, then to bury. This is the arrangement for Tulasi. And I've seen, like, not a field like grown, you know, how a field where they grow corn or something, not like that, but an open area like a field, but not cultivated. But I've seen many, many Tulasis growing. And where I'm thinking of in particular, like so much, was in Malaysia, which is hot and humid, 24 hours a day, 365 days of the year. I've seen Tulasi Devi growing there very beautifully. And one place in particular, outside a devotee's home, where Tulasi automatically came in a large area, cows walking and eating the grass between the Tulasi and somehow not disturbing the Tulasi. So, you know, and I think Tulasi is happy because the cows are there and Tulasi is there. I've seen that, and when I saw that, I thought, oh my goodness. So we have to also think that Tulasi has her own life and her own environment. Jivanadidi, what have you heard about Tulasi? You have been worshipping her for many hours.
I really wish, but I was thinking about how Kala said, and I think about that too, that Krishna doesn't like to accept anything without Tulsi. So like here at home, I don't have a Tulsi plant. So if I make an offering, I try to think or meditate about Tulsi and try to say the prana mantra as I'm meditating on putting the leaves or manjaris on the preparations. I hope that's at least a pinch bona fide.
Well, also you can think that Vedavyas and up in the Himalayas where Vedavyas is, I mean, surely they don't have Tulsi. That's, I mean, right now it's December, you can't even get there. It's under, you know, how much snow. So, you know, we have to also think things like this, a practicality.
Ah.
I saw this in Russia, that devotees were, you know how we do Tulasi Parikrama?
Uh-huh.
They printed 3 pictures of Tulasi, and then they made a triangle with the pictures on each side of Tulasi.
Oh.
Then so it's like this, and with a picture on each side. Then they put on a stool in the middle of the room, and then they're doing Tulasi Parikrama, Namo Namo Tulasi Maharani, around the picture. And then I thought, yes, see, they don't, I mean, some places they are able to keep her alive, but it's not a normal environment for Tulasi. A few days ago here we had snow, and it went to like -2 degrees, -1 degrees. And then we're sort of thinking, oh, snow. And actually even the Italians, they were seeing the snow. I was surprised how excited they were, because, you know, I think they must surely see it every year. But, you know, snow is quite miraculous. And they had these big snowflakes, I mean, floating down. It was out of a, I don't know, it was surrealistic. It was very wonderful. Anyway, then we were talking, we were doing one of our Skype, Zoom, whatever talks with Izevsk in Russia. And then I sort of said, oh, we had our first snow. It's quite cold here. And they said, oh, yeah. Here it's a little cold, but it's only -17. So, you know, it's
Painful.
I know. And then we're thinking, oh, it was cold. But one thing I did notice this, but I didn't comment, but I did notice they're all wearing T-shirts and, you know, like warm weather clothing, because actually, you see, you got to give it to them. Their homes are warm.
Ah,
They have the government in the cities and in, you know, mostly even, well, not the very countryside, but in all the towns, they have the central heating. Not everybody's got a boiler in their own house. They have a big place where they boil the water and it's pumped all over the town. And so indoors, they're quite cozy. But still difficult environment to grow Tulasi. That's my point. And so what about Veda Vyas? It's not that he's not taking prasadam, he's there, but he's living in a cave. But in the Himalayas, and we have to think he'll be doing like Jivana. Hare Krishna. And is anything else specifically about Tulasi, Kalachan? Like you still have a question that we haven't answered. I mean, it's not, I haven't given a comprehensive answer, but really it's how we view Tulasi. Again, this is how we are told. We are students of our masters. And so morning and evening, we're doing some worship of Tulasi.
No, that's wonderful, Raj. Thank you.
And in Gupta Govardhan in Thailand, the devotees, when she's spreading out from the area, they carefully try to collect her and keep her within an area so that, you know, inadvertently people don't walk on her. So she's happy to receive this service. This is all service to Tulasi. Hare Krishna. When Mahaprabhu converted the hunter, remember that hunter in the forest, and the hunter, he was leaving the animals half dead. And
right. Mahārāṇī.
Huh?
Mahārāṇī, was that his name? Mahārāṇī the hunter? Mahārāṇī?
I'm not sure.
Oh.
Yes, it was something to do with death, Rory. What? Say again slowly his name?
I thought I heard it as Mahārāṇī. Mahārāṇī.
Maybe so.
I'm not allowed to repeat things that nobody else remembers. That's
Okay, well, we can do a little homework, and we can. I think I can see Praneshwari's eye is going to the Veda base, and I think she's taking a look right now. But my point about that is that, okay, I got a couple of points about that actually, but in relation to Tulasi, then after the hunter had kind of come to his senses, and how? By receiving the grace of none other than Narada Muni, who is probably quite convincing in his preaching, quite a successful preacher of Krishna consciousness, I believe. Anyway, Narada Muni, after convincing him, then he said, so you go home and you distribute your wealth to the Brahmanas, you come make a cottage on the banks of the, or wherever it was in that place. Again, without homework, I'm not sure if it was the Ganges exactly, but make your cottage, sow a Tulasi seed, grow a Tulasi plant, worship Tulasi, and take the holy name. And he said, and you come, you and your wife, you come and you stay here, leave everything you've got, just make a simple cottage. And I remember in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says, anybody can do this. Anybody can go down to the river, go to the banks of a river and make a cottage, you know, but then we think, but in this age, maybe the police will move you on if you try to make a cottage of four poles and a simple roof, you know. But there's former times and it was possible. But the point is that what was Narada Muni's instruction? To plant a Tulasi, sow Tulasi seed, grow Tulasi, worship her and water her each day. Water her and worship her and take the holy name.
Wow.
So he and his wife went there. But there are, a couple of things there in that pastime. It's not that Narada Muni just went up to him and said, this is what you should do. He went up to him and first of all, said, you're leaving these animals, you're a hunter, you're leaving them half dead. And then the hunter, like saying to Narada Muni, like, what's wrong with that? I mean, that's what I was taught by my father. And what I remember, the last time I read this, and I remember reading it and thinking, yeah, that's what his father taught him. And our father is told, like our original guru, in the sense of he's the first one who's teaching us what is what. Our parents are teaching us, do this, don't do that, how to behave. And so when we hear something from authority, like our father, or this is the way to kill animals, then, it sounds extreme, but in one sense you can say, but I heard it from my father. This is what I meant to do. And then Mahaprabhu then explained to him, how it's wrong. He didn't say, your father was a nonsense straight away, but then explained to the hunter. Then the hunter must have, the penny dropped. Oh yes, pain and action, reaction. Then then Narada Muni said to him, when he said, so please tell me, and now I understand, hearing from you, I understand that this is going to bring so much pain to me. Now I'm fearful. What can I do? Then Narada Muni said, if you want me to tell you, then first you break your bow, your bow for killing the animals. You break the bow, then I'll tell you. In other words, if you really want to hear from me, you leave what you've been doing. Now you understand it's wrong, so this is your conviction. And it's not just, I'll tell you, and then if you want to, you don't kill any more animals. He's saying, first of all, you make that jump, then I'll tell you, I'll give you this. And then he gave him the instruction, the holy name, and he did it. And he said, how will I eat? Narada Muni said, don't worry, I'll send you food. And then when Narada Muni went back to him after some time with a friend, Parvat maybe, if in my memory perhaps, he went with Parvat Muni, I believe. He went with a Muni, a friend of Narada Muni. He said, come, let's visit. I have a disciple living here somewhere. We'll go and see him. And then when he went to him, then that hunter told to Narada Muni, please don't send so much food. Just send only what two of us can eat. And many things to learn from this, but a complete transformation. But on today's theme, Narada Muni's instruction was sow Tulasi, offer her water every day, worship her, and take the holy name. Hare Krishna. Govinda, Govinda, Govinda. Divya Shakti Devi Rasi, welcome. Abhinavasunda and Kelly, no doubt, welcome. Hare Krishna.
Dandavats Maharaj, Dandavats to all of the lilies.
Dandavats Divya Shakti Devi. Does anybody know Divya's been around a long time? You've been around a long time? Facts? Any specific Tulasi like directives?
No,
From
I
Guru
just
Dev?
remember, I remember in Navadvip, when it was cold, the devotees would cover Tulsi with a blanket. And it was so beautiful. Do you remember, Maharaj?
They didn't do it they didn't do it all the time. I'm not sure how Tulasi Devi thought about that, but
Right, right. I always wondered about it too. It's kind of interesting, but out of affection, they did that, and that was pretty beautiful.
I
It was
can
very-
say what worked, as you mentioned that, I can mention what worked in Brindavan. In Brindavan, they have a cage around Tulasi, literally a cage.
Right,
But
and they're
that,
covered.
yeah, and that's to stop the monkeys from going there and actually wrecking Tulasi. The monkeys see, anyway, we don't want to start analyzing the mentality of a monkey, especially a Brindavan monkey. But anyway, we can at least say the monkeys are naughty and they do not have the respect for Tulasi in the way they've not been listening to the teachings of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and our Guru Varga. So anyway, they don't have the same respect for Tulasi. So they cage Tulasi, and then in the winter, then around the cage, they put this flexible white perspex. And I think it may be, I don't know what it's used for normally. Like a window, but a window you can't see through. You know, this kind of a window thing, but it's flexible. And so you can put it inside the cage and it tries to open out. So it just goes round and it's a round cage. And not on the top and not on the bottom. So there's full air is flowing, and that kept Tulsi Devi very healthy throughout the winter. And then everybody, the local people were all surprised to see how well she looked, because in the Vrindavan winter, mostly Tulsi either leaves her body or she struggles and then grows leaves again as the spring comes. So that's maybe a tip. But for actually growing her, for growing her, then, I mean, you'll get tips from those who have experience in the Western world, what kind of light, what kind of humidity they do know. And who will probably be a good source of that would be Sri Lanka.
Mhm.
And the cumulative experience of the devotees. I mean, people who garden, they know just, about gardening. You could say mundane gardening, but that every plant has its own nature, what kind of soil it likes, what kind of light, what kind of humidity. But the main thing at the end of the day, of course, is the dedication to her. And Rupanuga Prabhu's mentioned, is Tulsi beetle in the ground?
Better. It's Tulsi better. Is the telephone that
Oh,
changes the spelling?
is Tulasi better in the ground than in a pot? Well, she likes to, we've seen, the bigger the amount of earth, then generally, the more she's going to grow. However, they traditionally, and you'll have seen it in India, in fact, in the villages, practically every single house has what they call, as I mentioned before, Tulsi Manch, which means it's just like an altar place in the courtyard somewhere, where Tulsi is on a raised area, and she's living in the top of there. And she can be put with a flower pot into the top, and then moved in the daytime to where there's more sun, whatever it may be. But this way, some Tulasi in a pot for worship. And then if you have the grounds and some area where you can try to keep her, then Tulsi in the ground. We've seen, I mean, huge Tulsis in some places. Again, Malaysia was a very suitable environment. She seemed to like the humidity and heat. And sometimes we see Tulasi, big Tulasi beads at the Tulasi Walla, and you think, where do they get such size of Tulasi? But really, we've seen very thick bases, very thick trunks of the Tulasi, not in the pot, but in the open. But
Maharaj,
here in Vila Govinda, they're all in the pots. And so far, they've managed to keep her warm. So far, even though the outside temperatures dropped to below zero already, and she's doing okay. Yes,
I,
Divya, were you
I
asking?
I couldn't find the reference that Jivana mentioned about Margari. I couldn't find it, but I found a question that I don't understand the answer. Can you please
Devotee.
explain a little bit?
Okay, so Pranesh's put in the chat box, gold from the golden staircase, seeing with the eye of the soul. Devotee asks, Srila Guru Maharaj, this is to Srila Sridhar Maharaj, I have one question about Tulasi Devi. The devotees here at this mat say that even if their japamala is not made of, oh yes, not made from real Tulasi, when you chant on their beads, at that time of their initiation, you turn those beads into Tulasi mala. Yes. So is it important to have japamala made of Tulasi or not? Srila Sridhar Maharaj, there is a higher spiritual consideration. Yasyatma buddhi kunnape tri dhatu ke sva di kalatradishu bhauma jyadya. Well, and so this is a continuation, right? That is, there is bhauma, mundane, and that is ijyadi, that which we consider worshipable. What I really want to revere, if I consider that to be of mundane nature, that will be an offense, yes? It is an offense. Arche Vishnu Shila Di. If I think that what I am to worship is simply stone, oh, something happened. Where's my stone gone? If I consider, I lost my stone now. Okay, found it again. Acharya Vishnu. If I think that what I am to worship is simply stone, or Guru Shunaramatihi, if I consider Gurudev to be an ordinary man, or Vaishnave Jati Buddhihi, if I see a Vaishnava as a Brahmana, Shudra, etc., or Vishnurva Vaishnavanang Kali Mala Matane Padatite Mu Buddhihi. If we think that the water that washes the lotus feet of the Lord Vishnu or the Vaishnavas, Charanamrita, is just plain water, or Vishnu Sarveshvareshe Tad Itara Samadhihi. If we think that the master of all, the Lord of all, Vishnu, is merely one of the many gods, then Yasya Va Naraki Sa, we shall have to go straight to hell. This is stated in the Padma Purana. Excuse me. So now what the question? Oh, about the Japamala. Actually, this was an affectionate question that to Guru Maharaj. I mean, really, it was quite sweet because Guru Maharaj, sometimes the beads, we know that sometimes they're not Tulasi, which were given to Guru Maharaj for chanting. Well, given to Guru Maharaj. Not sure, because Guru Maharaj would chant on them. But I know that some beads sometimes were neem. But this is a matter of some faith from the devotees. They're saying, oh, but if Guru Maharaj will chant on the beads, it doesn't matter if it's neem or any wood. By Guru Maharaj's touch, then the beads are being infused with the holy name, becoming the deity, if you like when the installation of a deity, before the deity is installed, then the carving man is making out of wood, whatever it may be, but then the Lord is invited to the deity. This is a difference between idol worship and deity worship. So here, Guru Maharaj is giving examples of different things which can appear as mundane water, can appear as wood, can appear as a human being, but the deity, the Ganges, or the water that's washed the feet of the Lord or of the devotees, and the Guru and the Vaishnava, etc., we must not see the external side. We are connecting with the internal side. So in this way, Guru Maharaj is not saying, yes, if I chant on the beads, it'll become Tulasi, but he's rather saying, that what is happening at the time of the chanting of the Guru on the beads and the giving of the beads to the devotee, this is not physical things, it is spiritual things. So again, when we hear that it's not necessary to install Tulasi, not necessary to invite or install the Govardhan Shila, that Krishna is already there in the Govardhan Shila, that Tulasi is already there in Tulasi, then we can understand that what we're worshipping, it's not wood and this, that, and the other, just like when we're worshipping the deity, it is not. So Guru Maharaj isn't answering saying, oh yes, I'm such a powerful yogi like this, that I'll convert one wood to another. That's not the matter here. It's the substance behind what is initiation. And also we see that some of the sages and sadhus in the past, and we have to think, did Mahaprabhu chant on a knotted cloth? I think there's some reference somewhere, at least at some point, Mahaprabhu was chanting on knots with cloth, with knots tied into it. But that, again, I'd have to do just a gentle homework, because we also understood that Mahaprabhu did chant on beads, but at some point, then in knotted cloth, possibly. But certainly some... Huh?
That is true. There's description.
It is true.
Yeah.
Okay, but certainly some of the sadhus, they've chanted on knotted cloths, rather, instead of beads, really with nothing, just knotted cloths. And so we have to also go then, oh, so what, their initiation doesn't count? No. But what was the instruction of their spiritual master? That's also another factor to take into account. And we are given the instruction, the very first instruction, I'm giving you these mala, chant on these beads in this way. Do not neglect the chanting. Do not let the beads fast. This is, do not commit the 10 offenses. We're given these instructions, so we're following those guidelines. And another point on the japa, etc., is actually we had, and we've been there when devotees have given to Guru Maharaj, they're saying Guru Maharaj offering initiation, then the devotees, they're coming with beads that they're buying in the market. Oh, I like these beads, or these beads are very nice. And coming to give Guru Maharaj the beads and asking Guru Maharaj, oh, this mala, please you chant on this mala. And Guru Maharaj saying, you accept the beads which are given to you, not that you go shopping in the market to find what you like, and then I will be, well, like Guru Maharaj didn't say that I will be your servant to chant on what you want me to chant on. But Guru Maharaj, politely, gentlemanly saying, I am giving you the beads. And we saw generally the kind of beads that Guru Maharaj gave, what he preferred to give. Not very small, not big. Actually, as with Guru Maharaj, everything is a middle path, not very small, not very big. And he also said, who are we worshipping? We're worshipping medium-sized God, Krishna, not the very small Paramatma, not the very big, the Vishnu, inconceivably big, but medium-sized Krishna. So a medium-sized God, and who is that? Krishna, and he's the origin of everything. So also medium-sized beads. So, and really, the why part and what are we doing? It's all coming, the standard of our modern age is coming from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. This is the fact, and this is maintained by Guru Maharaj. And about the standard, how we wear our cloth, what we wear, that we shave our heads, we're not growing hair and beard, because also there are different descriptions about this. Oh, the sadhus don't cut their hair, they don't shave their, that's one school. And another school, the sadhus, they shave their hair, they keep themselves in the opposite way around. What Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur has given This is our standard. And what we wear, the etiquette of the brahmachari cloth, the sannyas cloth, this cloth, what we're wearing and how we're wearing, that's been given by Saraswati Thakur. And so this was very much maintained by Guru Maharaj and Gurudev, of course, it's inseparably. And Guru Maharaj was disturbed. I mean, we saw Guru Maharaj expressing his dissatisfaction. One of his godbrothers, a disciple of Saraswati Thakur, changed the dress code in his temples because he thought, oh, this, he had some reasoning, thought, oh, they will get more respect from society if we do like this. And Guru Maharaj disapproved. And directly we heard from Guru Maharaj saying how what Saraswati Thakur has established, that we will follow, and not to deviate from that. This is to be maintained. And then Guru Maharaj added, and so soon after the disappearance of our Guru Maharaj, they are trying to adjust, trying to change what he has given. This cannot be approved. I mean, Guru Maharaj expressing very clearly his disapproval. So we will try our best to understand what is required of us. We don't have to do too many whys, but we accept happily this way.
Maharaj, Chinmoy found the name of the hunter that Jivana Didi mentioned.
Acha.
Is in the chat.
Mrigari. Well done, Jivana. Okay, Jivana has a rating for devotees. They're called extra double credit points, I think, something like this. So you're getting some of your own ratings coming back to you.
Triple extra credit, Maharaj. Triple extra credit.
Oh, triple extra credit. Okay, Kala Chandru, thank you for correcting me. I'm misquoting the shlokas. And Praneshwari to everyone, Veda base. What's that?
Is the reference for the story of the hunter.
Oh, okay, wonderful. But it's also a transcript. Okay.
You guys just find everything, my gosh.
It's a database from ISKCON, but
You
we
know,
also have a wonderful source.
Yeah. You
in,
still have to
in
know how
our
to
own
use
page.
it.
Yep, you still have to know how to spell things.
We have Krishna search, which is beautiful, very complete.
Hare Krishna. Shakira, do you have a question? You look like you have a question.
No, all right.
No, okay, that's fine. That's fine.
I'll keep it for next week.
Oh, yeah. Oh my goodness, I just noticed the time also. Okay.
Oh,
Just see, the clocks go round very fast when we're with the devotees. And Kalachan Prabhu, please give us just 2 lines of some news of what's happening there in Chiang Mai. Anybody home? Yes.
Oh, yes, Maharaj. Well, things are going on. Everything's as it is here. Getting a little bit cold, but we have to put socks on for us now. It's so cold here.
Oh.
Everything is wonderful. Govinda Kund is functioning and flowing very nicely. Everybody's happy there. Abadu Maharaj is here.
And Tulasi is growing.
Tulasi is thriving.
Thriving.
Too much.
Beautiful.
Yeah, Maheshwari is taking nice care, always maintaining and cleaning and clipping.
All right. Beautiful. So to all the devotees in all different places, then my obeisances. So we didn't hear a squeak from Abhinava Sundar Prabhu today. Abhinava, are you in a squeakable situation?
Maharaj, still with us.
Dandavat.
I'm actually working.
You're working.
Listening with one ear and working with the other ear.
Okay. just add some extra zeros, or if you're doing the accounts, take off some zeros by mistake. Make it all work out. Then just, oh, I was listening to Krishna Katha, then I... Okay.
Rupanuga's on the phone, isn't he? So gotta make sure I keep working.
Yeah, well, he's not now. You can
Oh, he's gone.
You
Okay.
can confess now, yeah. And for those of you who don't know, Abhinava Sundar Prabhu makes a lot of money for his boss, Rupanuga Prabhu. All right. So obeisances to one and all, to all of the devotees present, and as we know, those who will watch in the coming days or whatever it may be. We appreciate the association of you all and give all encouragement. Please chant Hare Krishna. Keep your heart simple. Be happy. Remember Mahaprabhu, Saraswati Thakur, our Rupanuga Guru Varga, and our special guardians. Keep safely under the umbrella. Don't try to go out of the umbrella of Guru Maharaj, Gurudev, Srila Prabhupada. That umbrella of Srila Saraswati Thakur that he's given the whole world for us to live in. Jai Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. Jai Srila Bhakti Rock Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. Jai Srila Prabhupada A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki Jai. And Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur ki Jai. Our Rupanuga Guru Varga ki Jai. And our present day Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Acharya Brinda ki Jai. All the assembled devotees ki Jai. All the worldwide devotees ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bo. Dandavat to you all, Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo, Namo Namaha. Dandavat.
Jai.
You're meant to be working, Abhinava Sundar Prabhu. Dandavat Chinmoy Prabhu, Jivana, Divya Shakti, Praneshri, Shakira. Oh, Hare Krishna.
Jai.